Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm so happy that you are here with us. We got a really fun show for you. I'm Jeremy Long, here with my co-host and co-explorer, Amy.
Hello.
Coming to you from beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada, in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios. Ready to chat with you. For all of you first-time visitors, if you're planning or at least just daydreaming about visiting Switzerland, we are going to talk about our trip there. Kind of like essential logistics tips, mishaps we've had. It's a really interesting show, especially for those who might be planning an adventure, because I think Switzerland is one of those countries that is always pretty high on everyone's list, but also you can get distracted by bigger and flashier countries. Especially the ones that surround it, France, Germany, Austria, those kind of places. But it's still something that it's wonderful to check out. And I'm so glad we did it. I
am too. And,
full disclosure, we mainly stayed on the eastern part of the country. We didn't really go over to Geneva and all of those places over there. And that was by design.
Yeah.
We wanted to really explore a region and see as much as we could see in a week. And that's impossible to see everything. But I think we did a pretty good job.
We did. I was really excited when you brought up, let's go to Switzerland, because it's somewhere that always wanted to go. But again, like you said, other places kind of trumped it on the list of, where should we go? So when you said it was like, oh, great, this is a good opportunity to go check out this beautiful country. I mean, every time I see pictures of Switzerland, it's gorgeous. And that was my number one goal, to see if it's as beautiful in person as it is on Instagram.
And what'd you think?
I think it was. I think you have to get out of some of the cities, but there were some shots inside the cities that were gorgeous. You see different photos from different travelers, and you're like, oh, where's that? I would love to capture that. We captured some fantastic photos. I wouldn't say we saw those specific images that other people always post, and it's like, oh, this is the beautiful Swiss countryside, but we did see some beautiful scenery.
It is one of those countries that, depending on which season you go to, go and visit it in, you're going to get a totally different experience.
Right.
So this experience was in wintertime and, in the colder months and everything. And so you don't necessarily, even though we did see some from a distance, you're not going to have the sweeping green meadows and the flowers and the whatever. That looks gorgeous. Can't wait to go back in the spring, summertime to go see that. But we did catch a little bit of it, but it was mainly the snow-capped mountains and those kind of things. And so it is one of those kind of experiences when you're looking at your calendar, when and how do we go see this? You want to keep that in mind.
Yeah, I think what you need to figure out is, do you want that winter wonderland feeling, or do you want that everything's green and vibrant and there's flowers in the meadow and, the rivers are flowing type of feeling? We were going specifically for that winter wonderland magic, and we got it. I will say we got it.
Not disappointed at
It
all.
did not snow while we were in Zurich, but it did snow when we were in other places, and we got to experience snow and just beautiful snow-covered mountains. And I'm very, very happy with our Switzerland trip.
So a question posing, if someone asked you, what's your advice? What would be one of those first things that you would tell them, make sure you do this or make sure this happens?
The first thing I would say is, I would ask them, are you wanting to just stay in one major city, or are you wanting to get out and travel around the country like we did? If you want to travel, you definitely need to get their Swiss travel pass. That gives you access to all the different trains and a lot of the buses, and it even gives you discounts on museum tickets, because we got that and you were a little concerned. You thought it was kind of pricey. I felt like it was appropriately priced for what we got, but we used that. We were on trains every single day. And in fact, we even said we wish we would have bought it for more days, because we ended up buying just day passes on the 2 days we didn't have it. So if you're going to get out of whatever city you're going to, I would definitely get a Swiss travel pass.
Yeah, the Swiss pass is like the single ticket that you need. It covers unlimited travel by train, bus, and boat. And it also covers a number of the like panoramic trains that they have. And we'll talk a little bit more about the one that we took, the Bernina Express. But there's also the Glacier Express and like the Golden Pass and some others. But it also covers that. Now, those particular trains, you do need a reservation, a separate seat reservation for those. But it covers your fare for those. Right. It also, something we didn't really take a whole lot of advantage of, but there's also free admission to more than 500 museums.
Right. Yeah.
So if you're going there on like a cultural journey and you do plan on visiting museums, things like that, this is also included in the pass. And there's other things like we did take advantage of some of the cable cars. The cable cars to the peaks of these mountains where they often have resorts and different activities. It's not free, but they give you 50% off your tickets for those. And we took advantage of that going to Mount Titlis in Engelberg. And so there's all kinds of things wrapped up. There's even different like offers for travel, resorts, different things like that you can take advantage of. So I think, honestly, it was a little bit of a sticker shock at first because it is much like the Japan Rail Pass. It is upfront costing like, ooh, wow, okay, this is a little bit pricey because I'm not used to it. But once you get in it and realize, every train, everything, we use the heck out of it. And we absolutely got our money's worth.
I don't remember the exact cost, but in my recollection, it was roughly like $100 a day a person, something like that.
Something like that.
Which, depending on how often you're going to be using this transportation or these half-off tickets and museum entry, it may seem like a lot, but it's really not. I mean, you and I, our hotel was not in Zurich. It was a little bit outside of Zurich. So we had to take a train into the city every day. So we rode at least 3 trains every day to get from our hotel to the main train station, then to get somewhere else. I feel like it completely paid for itself. Again, if you're just going to be in Zurich and you're just going to stay in Zurich, maybe not. But even inside the city, I mean, we used it to get around the city.
All the trains, all the
long.
buses, everything that we could think of was included with it, which is probably my number one piece of advice too. Like, you're going to use the heck out of this. And there's different variations of it too.
Right.
There's the main Swiss travel pass, but there's also what they call the half fare pass, which is discounted depending on how much you're going to be traveling. They also have a Swiss family card, which kids over 6 and under 16 years of age ride free, basically with their parents if you're buying this card and everything. So there's different ways. And let me go ahead and break the mystique here. They do check tickets.
They do.
They checked a lot of
They don't check on every single train ride, but there, I would say at least half. We had our tickets checked.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the first day we were like, why did we buy a pass? They're not even checking, tickets or whatever. And then almost every single ride after that, they were checking. They were everywhere.
And
the
even some
monitors.
Some of the longer rides, they were checking twice. Like
multiple times.
After big stops, they would check your tickets again.
Yeah.
So you do need it if you're going to get on those trains.
A good thing is if like you don't have it and you get on the train and you're just like, I just need to go somewhere. You do have some options to buy tickets on the train.
Yeah.
And they were doing that. And I think it costs just like a little bit more.
Yes.
But, I think it's at their discretion and you can't get fined for it. So don't think you're going to hop a train and get away with it because they were out in force, man.
Oh, right.
I was actually surprised because I think we got checked more, like our tickets got checked more in Switzerland than they did in Japan.
Absolutely.
And I don't know why that was surprising, but I oftentimes was like, okay, man.
But we did hear every single time they were checking tickets, somebody would not have one and they would pay for it right there with a card. So you do have that option, like you said, if you just need to get on a train. But it doesn't just cover trains and buses in Switzerland. It does cover the ones that go into some of the other countries right there near it. So that was when we really knew we were going to use it because we did plan to go into other countries and we used the heck out of that thing.
Yeah, we absolutely did. Stay right here. We're talking first-time visits to Switzerland. Lots of good information we're going to have prepared for you here. Unscaled Travel Show. We'll be right back.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long, your host, here with my co-host, co-explorer, Amy.
Hello.
Coming to you from beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios. Remember, folks, for all of your land surveying needs, especially here in the U.S., contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS. That's 3257. Or you can visit them online, diamondbacklandsurveying.com. Thank you always so much. Trent and Lisa Keenan, sponsoring the show, sponsoring our dreams, our journeys. We are talking about essential tips and hints and everything else for Switzerland. We learned a lot on this trip. It was our very first time going to the land of chocolate and the Alps, I guess. I don't know.
They say the land of cows, but we didn't see that many cows, really.
Yeah.
We saw more sheep than anything.
Land of sheep. Land of lies. No. Didn't see too many cows, but we'll get to that, right? So you mentioned a good point before we went to break about the Swiss travel pass, saying about how you can't take it and ride trains and buses into different countries, but it does come sometimes with a little bit of a catch.
Right. So what we found is the Swiss train system will take you into other countries. And then if you are in that, wherever you get off, if you get back on a Swiss train, your ticket is good. But for instance, we went into France and our train there was the Swiss train. And then in France, we got on a different train. So obviously our Swiss train pass didn't cover the France trains, but it did cover when we got back to our original stop to get back on the train to Switzerland. It covered that ticket back in. So you just kind of have to be aware of what rail line you're on and if your ticket covers that or not.
Same with, we took a little journey into Liechtenstein by bus, and then we rode a train into Austria and then to Germany. And we didn't have too many experiences where we felt we needed to really buy a ticket, but definitely coming back, just to be safe, we bought a ticket. And then once we got close to Switzerland, we were like, okay, we think we're good. And once we passed a certain stop, they did start checking tickets again. And we, of course, had the Swiss pass.
Yeah.
And everything,
So the train from Germany back to Switzerland we did not have access to it on our Swiss train pass. But then once we were back in Switzerland, we were good. So it's just kind of being aware when you do get on the trains and you're in these countries that are right next to each other, they will have like the initials for the train line next to it. So you just want to make sure that you're on the Swiss train line if you're on using your Swiss travel pass. So it's not as complicated as we're making it sound, but just be aware. There are so many countries that are close together that it is very easy to go from one to another. And something else we found out with that. So Switzerland does not use euros. They use francs, which it's a currency there. But then when we went into Austria and Germany and even France, they're all on euros. So we didn't have euros on us. And a lot of those places we went did want cash. So you had to end up going and finding an ATM in an old little medieval town to get us some euros so that we could pay cash when we were in Austria.
Yeah, it was, a fun experience. If you ever think, this is definitely where my credit card information is going to get taken, it's in a medieval town where you just find an ATM randomly in the side of an 1,100-year-old building. But it actually turned out to be quite safe. I'm joking around there a little bit. But you do either want to have those euros and francs on you, or the best thing, honestly, is to have maybe one credit card, a travel credit card or something like that doesn't charge those foreign transaction fees, to just swipe there.
Right.
To kind of keep it all in one place so you don't lose track of what you're doing and your money and everything else. As long as it doesn't have those fees, it'll do the calculations for you, the currency exchanges and things like that, whenever it calculates and everything. So that's kind of my look at it. Like keep a little bit of cash on you, a little bit of Swiss francs, a little bit of euro if you plan on going to those kind of countries. But more than anything, I think we just use the credit card. I know people fees and all of that stuff. I know, but it gets a little complicated to keep up with all that.
It really was only a slight issue that day we hit 4 different countries because Liechtenstein does also use the Swiss franc. So that was nice. We had some of that on us. But then when we went into Austria and Germany, they are on the euro, and we didn't have any euros. So it was just a little bit of, and we happened to go somewhere that they did not accept cards. So that's the other thing. It's just kind of making sure you check before you have something in hand, if they accept debit cards or not.
Yeah. The other things, obviously, it's like pay attention to your packing, your layering, the clothes you're going to bring. You found out real quickly. If you're going to go in the wintertime, and especially if you plan, even I guess maybe in the summertime, if you're going to go up to these peaks and the mountains and everything else, you're going to want to bring the right footwear to walk in the snow, because although your feet were warm, you were having a little bit of traction issues.
So I wore some very, very warm Sherpa-lined boots when we went up to the top of the mountain to see this glacier, and my feet were very, very warm. However, those boots do not have any traction, and I was slipping and sliding all over the place, and you were having to hold me up so I didn't fall in the snow.
Right.
But this is also a day that you didn't layer. You had been hot the day before, so you said, I'm just going to wear a short sleeve t-shirt and my jacket.
Sure.
And we had to end up buying you a sweater because it was cold up there.
It started snowing, like heavy snowing, and I tried to tough it out, but I'm really glad we bought a sweater, but that was extra money that we had to spend because I didn't pay enough attention to, 40 degrees in Las Vegas is way different than going to the top of a mountain where the wind's blowing and it's heavy snow and, things like that. So you just have to be smart about it, or, buy a sweater from a shop that's way too expensive. Anyway, another thing real quick is your phone. A lot of people don't think about it till you get into those situations, but just like in Japan, where you need to pick up a pocket Wi-Fi, you have that option with Switzerland and most of Europe, right? An easier option might be to go with an eSIM. An eSIM is not a physical SIM, so you're not going to have to change that out on your phone. Most newer phones have the ability to add eSIMs to your phone, so you have full access to your phone, like phone calls and text messaging, and also data. If you use it, we use Google Maps a lot to get around in different situations like that. So we found out real quick, you know what, let's go online. Let's buy eSIMs for both of our phones so we have data. So we're never in a situation where we, can't look up a map or can't find a restaurant opening or an attraction opening or something like that. And we ended up going with a company called Saily, Saily.
And it really wasn't very expensive.
No, it was like $4 or $5.
Yeah, I think it covered 3 or 4 days worth of data, which we ended up having to get more because we were using our Google Maps so often. But yeah, very, very reasonable. And we even purchased the extended eSIM when we went into the other countries because originally we had selected to only use it in Switzerland. So the day we went into France, it didn't work well. So we did have to extend it, but it was definitely a good purchase. Yeah.
If you're going to do it, go ahead and get the eSIMs that they have some that cover like 30 different countries so you can use your phone. Okay. Smart. Keep it right here. It's Unscaled Travel Show. We'll be right back.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long here with my co-explorer, Amy.
Hi.
Remember, for all of our past episodes and interviews, check us out, unscaledtravelshow.com. We want to shout out our appreciation to all of you that have subscribed online to all the major podcast platforms as well. We put our shows on there, Apple, Spotify. You share it, you leave those 5-star reviews. We really do appreciate it. We read every single one of them. We frame a couple of them. It's really nice to hear sometimes.
Screenshot a couple, send it to everybody we know.
We go, look at our successful show. Or look at this hate mail we got. We were talking about different day trips and fun things we have in Switzerland, things we learned in our trip to Switzerland for first-time visitors. If you're planning on going or you're daydreaming about going, maybe it's on the horizon for you, some practical things. And we do have a number of cities that we went to inside Switzerland. We'll get to those. But I really wanted to kind of touch on the day trips we took. We, like I said earlier in the show, we spent most of our time in the eastern part of Switzerland. And that was by design. We didn't want to just spend our time on trains the entire time going and going and going. We wanted to see all what was over there and kind of take it all in. And that included, it's so very close to the border of so many other countries in Europe that we couldn't resist.
Right.
We saved it to closer to the end of our trip, but we finally just gave in and we were like, you know what, let's go for broke and let's see how many of these countries we can hit while we're here. And man, we got to a few of them.
We did. I mean, when you look at the map, Switzerland is not a huge country and it is completely surrounded by other countries. So it was very easy to get into multiple other countries from where we were. And we really took advantage of that. We weren't necessarily chasing stamps in our passport. It was just, let's go and experience something new. And like, we have the opportunity to go into 3 countries in 1 hour. Let's do it. So the first one we went to actually was up to France, which we've been to France before, but we've never been to this side of France. And
this is the Alsace.
I don't know how to say it, but it's the part
region
that you always see people posting photos of on Instagram, and it looks like little villages from a Disney fairy tale.
Yeah. This is where I would imagine like Beauty and the Beast.
Exactly.
Like Belle is dancing through there and she's considered odd because she reads books.
Yeah. Yes.
You ever think about that show? I do all the time. I shouldn't as a 40-year-old man. But a lot of these towns, where did we end up going to? What was our stop in France?
It was Strasbourg.
Okay.
Which is very close to the German border. So it does have a German influence on it, especially in the architecture. And we went to what they called Petite France. It's kind of the oldest part of the city, like their old town. And it was gorgeous. And, you know, they were setting up for Christmas there. So there was that added to it with all the Christmas lights. But it did have this very old world feel to it. And they had a gorgeous, gorgeous cathedral in this part of the city that we wanted to go to, but the line to get in wrapped halfway around this building, and we were going to be out there for hours.
And it's also called the Notre Dame.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So I was this many years old when we went there when I figured out that they have 2 Notre Dames, maybe more. I don't know. I need to read more, apparently. I need to be like Belle and read more. Okay. But, you know, this amazing Gothic cathedral with this was the backdrop of this Christmas market. And it was just fantastic to just, I mean, we planned it, but we didn't know what we were actually walking into. And it was just amazing. It was just amazing.
I have seen multiple people just this year say that Strasbourg, France was the most beautiful Christmas market they've ever been to because it sits in front of this gorgeous cathedral. So if you haven't been and you're thinking about it, I highly recommend checking it out just because of the beautiful architecture there.
Yeah. Another day, France was gorgeous, by the way. And I could go back to France unlimited amount of times. I absolutely love it. But, you know, there's a small country, the 4th smallest in Europe that you don't really think about too often. Let me just be honest here. How many times do you honestly sit there and say, I wonder what's happening in Liechtenstein today? Not many.
I'll be honest, I didn't know it was still an actual country until you told me I want to go into Liechtenstein. And I was like, oh, that's still a country?
Yeah.
And I feel bad for saying that, but
it's not very big, but it does have tons of what they would call charm, right? And it's one of those amazing places that has influences from all of these countries around it and thousands of years of history. So you have a little bit of France and you have some Austrian and you have Germany and Swiss, influences and everything that they do. In fact, their prince is Swiss. He was born in Switzerland and, and things like that. So it all kind of bleeds over together and it doesn't take a very long time to see everything. I think in total, Liechtenstein is about 15 miles long. And I think it's a shorter distance between here and the airport where we are, so, I mean, but it has a wonderful, just feel and a culture to it.
And it is one of these places where you can go to their visitor center and actually get a stamp in your passport.
Yes.
A lot of European countries, if you travel just by train or
bus.
on the road, bus, they don't stamp, but you can go to the Liechtenstein Visitor Center, pay $3 and get a Liechtenstein stamp in your passport.
And we did. And it's fantastic. I love it. And also they have a day pass.
They do. They have a city pass. It wasn't very expensive. I want to say around $25 to $30 a person, but it covered a lot of different things that honestly I didn't expect there to even be there. At first I thought, oh, this stuff's very spread out. But like you said, the whole country it's all within like 30 minutes of each other. So you can get that day pass and keep yourself busy for 2 or 3 days on that.
Yeah. One of those things, I mean, Liechtenstein, one of the odd things is that they're known for their stamps.
Right.
They are known for stamps, like postage stamps. I have to explain to the kids what postage stamps are, but they're these real stamps that you use to write and mail letters even. It's crazy. And they have entire museums dedicated to it. And with this pass, you also get a special ticket to go see the Liechtenstein crown jewels.
Right.
And a locked underground vault. It's crazy. Keep it right here. It's the Unscaled Travel Show.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long here with Amy.
Hello.
We're coming to you from beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada, and we are chatting about Switzerland, try to give you some practical tips, some helpful hints as you plan your trip and look forward to your journey to the land of cows.
And chocolate.
We were talking about some different day trips you could take because on the eastern side, obviously, you have so many countries that border Switzerland, and with that handy dandy Swiss trail pass, you can, or Swiss train pass, not trail pass, train pass, you can go into different countries, and it makes it super easy to kind of get around and everything. We were just talking about our time in Liechtenstein, but
something you mentioned is that you should always carry your passport too, because a few of the times when we were coming back into Switzerland from other countries and they were checking for train tickets, and they saw that we were not Swiss, they asked to see our passports also. And they check and they make sure your passport name matches the name on the ticket.
Yeah.
So
old boy was not playing. He was not playing with me because I had both of our passes, digital passes on my phone, and you were holding your passport in mine. And I just went to show him your Swiss travel pass or whatever. And he was like, no, I want to see from like your phone. The pass and the name and everything. I was like, all right.
Right. So I had the passports. You had the Swiss train passes.
Yeah.
And we had to each have our own thing to show them.
He was not playing.
Just be aware. You need to show your documentation.
In our time in Liechtenstein, yes, I did mention you get to go, if you get the day pass, you get a special offer to go down and to see their crown jewels. I mean, beautiful paintings and everything else that they have, all locked in a very secure vault. A man escorts you down in an elevator. It's not joking.
An elevator.
I don't know what it was.
You think you went in an elevator. It was just like an enclosed room where the door behind you closes and then the one in front of you opens.
Oh, whatever, man. It confused the heck out of me because I was trying to make friends with the guy and he was not having it. He was not.
And you're not allowed to have a phone or a camera out when you're in there, so we could not film or take photos of anything. And he stood there and watched us the entire. We were the only people in the space.
I did anyway. I didn't post it anywhere. When I did. Oops. But after that, we decided, you know what, let's continue the journey on. And it was only maybe 20 minutes away from Vaduz, the capital of Liechtenstein, to Feldkirch, Austria.
Right.
So we were like, you know what, we think there's a Christmas market over there. They definitely have an old town. So let's go check out this feature. So we just hopped on the bus. which, you know, it was a bus. It was a city bus. Everyone's doing whatever. And it took maybe 25 minutes to get across the border. And you get off we just picked a random stop to get off on. We walked into Old Town and boom, Christmas market, beautiful mountain backdrops, old churches that date back to the 12th century.
Yeah.
I mean, all kinds of stuff. I absolutely fell in love with Austria as well.
I did too. And we kept seeing something up like on a cliff a little bit above us, and it looked like a castle. So we were like, what is that? And you looked it up, and it was a castle.
Look at that.
They were,
if it looks like a castle, it might be.
It was a museum, though. Like, it had been a castle. Now it was a museum. And they were about to close, but we did hike up a little very steep incline to go to this castle and walk around. And it was really cool. They even had a small, like, Christmas market stand in there that had already closed for the day. But it was really neat to walk around that castle. And you seemed very intrigued.
Oh, yeah. It. So Schattenberg Castle sits on a hilltop, overlooks the city of Feldkirch, and I mean, overlooks the area you could see for miles once you're up there. Beautiful views. And just something, if you have the time and you love castles like I do, you definitely go up there, check it out. It is a museum. I think when it was open, it was just maybe a couple of dollars to get in, maybe. But it's something around there. But I mean, the whole city, I mean, every corner had something wonderful going on it, as far as just like walking down and seeing old buildings and historical landmarks. So one of those, but we, as much as they gave us, we thought we found a nice little Christmas drink, and it ended up just being a bottle of Jaeger with some Red Bull, which anyone in the United States knows that is just a Jaeger bomb. So at about 11 in the morning, I was getting toasty. And so we were slamming back beers. I say slamming back. We were having some good times in Austria. And we said, you know what, let's, just complete the journey. Not too far away is a train station. Let's make it to the train station, go right into Germany, chase this beautiful Christmas market that we wanted to find.
Right.
But another example of how close and easy it is to hit from country to country to country. And, we hopped back on the bus. I think maybe 10, 15 minutes later, we were at the train station, and then we were on our way to Germany.
Yeah. Germany was literally 20, 25 minutes away. And we rode in a little bit to actually end up on this small island. The town of Lindau has this tiny island in the harbor. Gorgeous. I love this town. I definitely want to go back and experience it. Not Christmas time. I mean, it was lovely at Christmas time, but I want to see it like in the spring, because it was on the water of this, like right on the coast of this beautiful, huge lake. And we walked around just a little bit of the old part of their town too. And it just, again, looks like something out of a fairy tale. And I know we keep saying that, but we're American. We don't have things that old here. we go back to like the 1700s, kind of. There may be a few things a little bit past that. But walking in and seeing these buildings that are hundreds and hundreds of years old and just beautiful and well-maintained. And like, it seemed like people there had a respect for their history and a respect for these beautiful buildings.
Yeah, they seemed proud of it. Like very proud of it. And not that you wouldn't be, but beautiful places can just become, everyday occurrences to people. But it seemed like, especially in Christmas time, very much they were like, we want you to come see this. We want you to see everything we have. They're very proud of it, as they should be. And Lindau sits right on Lake Constance, which borders a bunch of different countries. It's a huge lake. They had a beautiful harbor and a lighthouse and all of these things. There's just, I mean, at Christmas time is all lit up and beautiful, but I imagine just any other time, I can see in summertime people having sailboats out there and just enjoying the beaches, enjoying the water, and just, it just looked, and this place just reeked of niceness. It just reeked of money, and just like people just like to go here. And
there were a lot of posh boutique hotels right there on the harbor.
I was looking for the word posh. That's what I was like. It looked like posh.
It was posh. Yes. It was lovely though. I can't wait to go back and see this again in a different season.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go right now. We're going to end the show, and we're just going to go right now. Anyway, no. Just keep it right here. Unscaled Travel Show. We'll be right back.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long here with my co-host, Amy.
Hello.
And we are talking all about Switzerland, hopefully giving you guys some wonderful first-time tips and tricks if you're planning a visit or if, just planning for the future and you one day want to hit this beautiful country. Yeah. Hopefully we'll give you some practical advice, right? So we've been chatting about a lot of stuff, but I want to talk about specific experiences. And these are probably some of the most Googled and searched experiences in Switzerland, especially around different times of the year. But that would be the Bernina Express and the Lindt Chocolate Factory tour.
Right.
Museum, even. And both of them are cool. Different experiences though, totally night and day experiences. And I think they have crossover appeal to a lot of people, but especially, you know, if you want to look for, if you are more scenic, train rides. If you're more like, hey, interactive and I love chocolate more than life itself, then Lindt Chocolate Factory, right?
Right.
And I call it the Lindt Chocolate Factory, and that's not the name of it. It's like the Lindt Chocolate, like Lindt Home of Chocolate or something like that. It's a museum.
It's still a working factory and a chocolate museum.
So I'm technically right.
You are.
There you go. Let's talk about Lindt, though. Lindt was a really interesting experience because, number one, they don't give you a ton of information online about what you're going to experience when you go there. And I think it met and exceeded all of my expectations as far as...
Absolutely.
As it set a new standard for a tour and for just, yummy goodness.
Right. And it was not expensive at all. I want to say it was less than $20 a person to go. We signed up for the first tour of the day. So you do need to make reservations when you book your ticket on their website.
And you have to do it in advance.
You have to do it in advance.
They sell out very quickly.
Yes. So we booked for the first tour of the day. It is outside of Zurich. So we did have to take a bus down to the little town that it's in. But it is still a working factory with not only a Lindt museum, but a history of chocolate museum, which was really cool to learn how not only chocolate is currently made, but kind of the progression of where it's gone from just being these beans that used to be used to now the delicious treats that we have all over the world. But it was so cool because it was interactive.
Yeah.
And a lot of museums are not interactive anymore. So there were these little tasks where you could pretend to be grinding the beans, and it was a game. And then when it got to the actual place of how they make the chocolate, they had all these cool small versions of the machines from the factory that you could see how the chocolate's made. And then they had probably our favorite part where you could try the chocolate, taste the chocolate. It was so cool. I mean, and that's where everybody was hanging out. Once you got to that part, nobody really wanted to leave that room where you're tasting the chocolates.
Yeah. It was definitely a unique experience as far as just learning, number one, about the history of chocolate. I mean, and you're talking about the powerhouses in the chocolate, I guess, in the chocolate world, Henry Nestle and Daniel Peter and all of these people that Tobler, the inventor of the Toblerone and things they all knew each other. Henry Nestle and Daniel Peter were literal neighbors in Switzerland in 1875, man. And so you wonder how all these things come together. And this guy had recipes and had ideas for chocolate. And I think Daniel Peter was a guy who was the marketing genius behind a lot of this stuff. And it's so very interesting to see how it all kind of came together and how their efforts made Switzerland into something where people think about chocolate, because they weren't at one point, they weren't even thought of, because they had to import all the cocoa and everything else from all these different parts of South America until it finally kind of caught on. But when it caught on, boy,
Right.
They was minting chocolate, boy, chocolate money. You know, those chocolate gold coins? They was minting those, but they were buying houses in Alsace-Lorraine with them. Alsace-Lorraine with them, man, you know.
You're not even saying words right now.
No.
You're just thinking about chocolate.
Man, I got a sugar rush again from just all of that time. Did you mention the chocolate machines?
That's what I was trying to get to, and you went off onto this whole history thing. So you weren't listening to me, obviously.
I was thinking about the chocolate. Oh my gosh. What are we even talking about now? I don't care. Listen, these machines, okay, they had like chocolate bars in these machines and they were breaking up. But you stick your hand underneath it. It was almost like what do you call that?
It had a sensor, so it would know when a hand was underneath there.
Yeah, and just pour chocolate into your hand, like broken pieces of like candy bar into your hand. And they had all kinds of different flavors. So like some infused with orange and some infused with this or caramel or whatever.
Yeah.
And you found me at one point, I just had chocolate all over both hands.
They should have had wet wipes for people. Thankfully, I carried napkins in my bag, but you had chocolate all over your hands. And you were just kind of walking around like a child with your hands out. Like, my hands are dirty, Mommy. What do I do?
I was scaring the tourists that were next to me because I was breathing heavy and just... You know, I was just standing by one machine and just kept getting chocolate until they finally shooed me away from it. But then you leave that area and you go to another room with more chocolate.
Right.
And I thought, this is where I want to be buried. I want to spend my days here. And you could just.
It was definitely worth the price of admission, I would say.
Yeah. And then, very cool stuff like at the end, once you stop with the interactive tour, you get to go out and see the geniuses actually at work on the chocolate lines, kind of checking the machines and everything. And it totally could be like Willy Wonka. Those could all be like fake machines and whatever. We don't know. But people just pressing their face up against the glass, just staring at these.
Pressing your face up against the glass.
Yeah, people would be me. And I was totally doing that. I was knocking on it at one point. The dude turned around. He had a beard thicker than mine, and he had a hairnet on his beard. And he just kind of smiled at me, and I was like, hello. Like, he was my hero. I wanted to be that guy in this moment. So I'm like, how do I get into that?
It was a really fun excursion, I would say. A lot of families there, a lot of people with kids.
Yeah.
I don't know that the kids were really listening to, because it was a guided tour and you had headsets so you could hear the different steps in whatever language you chose. Most of the kids weren't really paying attention to that. It was more for the parents. But when you got to the tasting elements, that's where the kids really came alive.
Well, that's where I came alive. Yes, 100%. And that was just a wonderful time, and then switching gears into the Bernina Express, 4.5 hours each way. Takes you from Core, which is Chur. I kept calling it Chur all day, but it's Core because I'm an idiot. But it takes you down to Toronto, Italy.
Right. This is one of those things, as soon as we knew we were going to Switzerland and we started looking up things to do, this is the first thing at the top of everyone's list. People saying this was the highlight of their trip. Best train ride in Switzerland. Amazing views. I will be honest.
I was about to say, okay.
It was very nice. I would not say it was the highlight of our trip.
Yeah, it was all right.
Again, 4.5 hours one way. When you're coming from Switzerland to Italy, most of those amazing views everybody's talking about are in the second half of the trip. So there were we got pictures in the first half and we saw some really nice things, but it seemed to take a while before I started feeling like, okay, this is what I paid for. And then we only were in Italy maybe an hour and a half before we got on the first train back to Switzerland, which another 4.5 hours, seeing the same things.
Yeah.
It was a long day.
And you could say, maybe that was a calculated error, but we weren't planning on staying in Toronto. We had to get back. So, right. But I did see a lot of people with their luggage going. They were continuing on their journey into Italy, and they were going to have fun and do all of that. So if you have more time, or if your journey is going into Italy, it makes perfect sense. Or if you're coming back from Italy into Switzerland, makes great sense. But we'll talk more, right? It's not all bad, right? Bernina Express, it's the Unscaled Travel Show. We'll be right back.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long here with my co-host Amy.
Hi.
Coming to you from beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios. But we are chatting about Switzerland, and we hope we give you some good information if you're planning a trip or if you're already just daydreaming about those Swiss Alps. Hope some practical advice and some beautiful sites you can go see, experiences. We were talking about the Bernina Express, and I know that it wasn't necessarily our cup of tea. Right. There were some beautiful sites, and we did, it wasn't a terrible time. It was a lot.
It was. I agree with you. I think if you were already going to be traveling from Switzerland down to Italy or vice versa, this is a great way to do it, and it's scenic. But doing the full thing round trip in one day, I would not recommend doing that again.
Definitely split it up.
We did a lot of stuff while we were there, and I would say that felt like the longest day, even though we did the least amount of things on it.
It was good. We did that, planned it on later in our trip to give our feet a rest because we did so much walking and all of that. But it was fun. I don't want to discourage people from doing it. It just understanding what you're getting into. And there's other panoramic train rides that the Swiss Travel Pass or Train Pass does cover, like the Glacier Express and the Golden Pass and some other ones that are in, I think, the western part of the country. I think the Glacier Express, it's like 8 hours one way.
Yeah, that's why we chose not to do that one.
And at the end of the Bernina Express, it is 4.5 hours. There is a bus that will take you from Toronto to, I think, Lugano, Switzerland or something like that. It continues on the journey, and it's another 4 hours. So you end up back in Switzerland. And I hear that's a beautiful journey, but that is entirely too much for one day.
Right.
So I was like, no, no, thank you on any of that. The other specific thing that we did was we went to Engelberg in Switzerland, and we went to Mount Titlis.
Right. So I wanted to get out of the major cities and like go see these tiny little mountain towns. And I ended up coming across this beautiful little town on Instagram called Engelberg. And I thought, okay, let's go. And the more we researched it, we found it's right at the base of this mountain. There's a ski resort. And again, our train pass gave us half price tickets on the cable car up to the mountain. So first of all, Engelberg was beautiful. Loved it. Yeah. It was kind of deserted because it was raining when we got there, and the rain turned into snow. So it seemed like a lot of stuff was closed, but we got there early in the morning, and I think maybe Switzerland just doesn't wake up till a little bit later in the day.
Maybe so.
Because we were there at like 8 o'clock.
Yeah. And they were...
Nothing was open.
The coffee shop was like, well, you guys are early.
Right.
And you need to use the correct door.
Right. We went in the wrong door.
So they were thrilled to have us. But Engelberg was beautiful, and it is a part of these, so many of these gorgeous little mountain towns that Switzerland has, and each one of them has their own story, has their own history. Engelberg dates back to the 1100s with the founding of an abbey, the early 1100s too, so it has that. But we also, for Mount Titlis, on top of their wonderful things to do, they had a glacier you could walk through, an ice walk. You did mention the snow, so the visibility, normally you could see for miles on in, and you see all these mountaintops and peaks and everything. Couldn't see jack
right
on our journey, but it still had created this beautiful winter landscape.
It did.
Where we were all just kind of enclosed in our own little world.
And the whole reason I wanted to go up to Mount Titlis was because part of the cable ride up there, you switch to a rotating cable car, and it's one of the first of its kind. And as you're going up the last, several hundred feet to the top of the mountain, this whole cable car turns, so you get the full 180 scenic view. But because it was heavy snow, it didn't even rotate. So
we're lucky they let us on.
Right. I mean, they still have to take you up and down. But included in your cable car ticket was the the Glacier Park and the Ice Walk. So all that, because I kept trying to find how much is it to do this stuff, and you couldn't find that anywhere. But once you're up there, it's just it's
included.
open, so you can go do all of that.
And they have restaurants up there and different family things, winter parks and stuff like that for skiing and snowboarding with little ones. So it really would make a really good family experience. From there, Lucerne, just looking at different cities that we visited. And we had a number of them. We can't get to all of them, but Lucerne was one of the bigger ones. And it has an incredible medieval history. Again, the history thing kind of pours out. You can't escape it. But the Chapel Bridge is a literal medieval bridge that dates back, hundreds of years. Wonderful city, worth exploring no matter what time of the year. But Christmas, especially beautiful because they had the city decorated.
Right.
I think it was one of my favorite cities.
Me too. I was just about to ask you if you liked it more than Zurich, because for me, I absolutely did.
I did like it more than Zurich.
Yeah.
Zurich is nice. I think it has its nice parts. But when you start getting into the like Lucerne and Basel and these other places that we got to visit, Zurich to me is distant. Yeah. Like it's way down the list.
It really is
on cities. And that's not to say that it's bad. It just wasn't one of my favorites when you just compare the cities side by side and just, I guess, the look and the feel that you're going for.
Right.
And Zurich did have wonderful things. Again, Christmas time, we had Christmas markets. They have a beautiful Christmas market right in front of the Opera House, which is probably one of the most popular ones in the world. It is absolutely gorgeous.
It was my favorite.
And then there's different ones all across the city. I think they had at one time 10 or so Christmas markets going on in different pockets.
Mm-hmm. And they all felt different too.
Yeah.
Every Christmas market in the city had its own kind of vibe happening.
But and I guess if we're talking about vibes, I think that's what I would lean on most. Like Zurich just didn't have the same vibe to me as these other little towns. But maybe, I don't know, maybe I was just chasing something different in my mind. But yeah.
I agree. I thought Lucerne, I wish we would have spent more time in Lucerne, because the day we spent just walking around Zurich, you and I just kept kind of looking at each other like, okay, well, it doesn't have that same feel. And it almost was a little bit like they didn't lean into the history of their city as much as some of the other places did. They had a lot of historical things. You and I went into one of the most famous churches there, the Grossmünster. I love saying it, Grossmünster. But we actually did something really cool. You could pay $5 a person and go up into the tower that's pretty high up in the church and look out over the city. But to go through it, you had to go through this little bitty, almost hidden door. We didn't even know what it was when the lady first pointed to it. She was like, you see that little round, in the middle of the church, in what we would call the sanctuary, were these little bitty round pillars, basically. And there was a door cut in one of them. And she's like, yeah, go through there. And I
was like, yeah, we're about to be trafficked.
Right.
Yeah.
And this door is tiny. I don't know how you fit through it, honestly.
Oh, ouch.
No, not like that. But I'm short, and it was I had a duck to go through it.
Me, big American man, can't fit in these small areas. But that was really, I mean, it was really fantastic to kind of go see, because I was telling you later on, you think about the history of these places going back. That place goes back almost 1,000 years.
Right.
People have been climbing those steps, monks and friars or whatever they're called. Holy people have been climbing those stairs to go up there to pray or study or get closer to God or whatever. And here I am later on, and I'm half dead, dragging a funnel cake with me, going up these steps and wheezing.
It was a lot of steps.
And I'm doing the same thing, and it's just really interesting to see. But it was fun. Just overall, if I had to pick a city to go back to right now, it'd be Lucerne.
Right, I agree.
I really enjoyed that city.
I agree. I think Zurich had things about it that we liked.
Sure.
But the overall feel, if you want, when you see pictures of Switzerland, you have this image in your mind of what it's going to be like. And I didn't have that in Zurich. I had that more in Lucerne and then down in Engelberg. So I would spend a little more time there if we were able to do it differently.
Yeah, I think so. I think, because we got maybe half a day.
Yeah.
There, which, the train makes it easy to get around. And I think that's the biggest part. We just don't have that in the U.S., especially on the West Coast, man. We lack so much of that infrastructure and that the train transportation that makes getting around so easy, even within cities. The buses in most cities here just don't stack up compared to like Europe and a lot of other places.
Right.
So they have it really well. So, but it's one of these places, Switzerland is, that just, it's not huge. It's not a huge country, but it's so much to try to pack in. Even we were there for a week and didn't touch nearly close to what we wanted to, but we can't wait to go back. And we hope you guys follow along, because we'll keep having adventures. We'll keep sharing those adventures with you. It's the Unscaled Travel Show. We'll see you guys next time.